Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 4, Text 66. Actually, the class is supposed to be given by His Grace Vishnu Gadar Prabhu. He's come Philadelphia, but he's traveling now, so I'm filling in for him. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Astotar Satasisi Mother's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shiva Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Astotar Satasisi Mother's Divine Grace Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Charge Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Sivasali Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shami Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Sari Bhutave Srimadi Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna dear Buri. So Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila Chapter 4 Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Text 66 Sattvam Vishudam Vasudeva Sabditam Yadi Yati Tatra Puman Apavita Sadvet Cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadukshayo me manasa vidiyate Satvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yad idyate tatra pumana pavita Tadvecha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadukshayo me manasa vidiyate Sadvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yadiyate Tatra Puman Apavrita Tadveja Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yahoksa Jo Me Manasa Vidiyate. Hare Krishna. If you want to chant, you can at this point.
Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Sattvitam Yadiyate Tatra Punam Apavrita Sattvecha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadoksajume Manasa Vidhiyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yad ihate tatra puman apavritah Satve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadakshaja me manasa vidhiyate.
Hi. Anyone else? All right. Word for word. Sattvam, existence. Vishuddham, pure. Vasudeva Shabditam, named Vasudeva. Yat, from which. Yate, appears. Tatra, in that. Puman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Apavita, without any covering. Sattve, in goodness. Cha, and. Tasmin, that. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, Vasudeva. He certainly. Ahoksaja, who is beyond the senses. Me, my. Manasa, by the mind. Vidiyate is procured. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The condition of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed without any covering, is called Vasudeva. In that pure state, the Supreme Godhead, who is beyond the material senses and who is known as Vasudeva, is perceived in my mind. Report by Srila Prabhupada. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 23, spoken by Lord Shiva when he condemned Daksha, the father of Sati, as an opponent of Vishnu, confirms beyond a doubt that Lord Krishna, his name, his fame, his qualities, and everything in connection with his paraphernalia exist in the Sandhini Shakti of the Lord's internal potency. Om Ganatmirandasya, Gana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatyadi Shatayani. Om Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratse Namaha. Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Himavyati Vata Vishandaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya. The English translation again. The condition of pure goodness, Shuddha in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed without any covering, is called Vasudeva. In that pure state, the Supreme Godhead, who is beyond the material senses and who is known as Vasudeva, is perceived in my mind. Hare Krishna. So in this short purport, Srila Prabhupada reveals one thing that's very important. There's a whole pastime connected with this. The text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. It's spoken by Lord Shiva. So when it says, it's perceived in my mind, my means Lord Shiva's mind. Shuddha Sattva, the condition of pure goodness. We are in the material world ruled by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So pure goodness is without any tinge of passion or ignorance. Material goodness has some tinge. And I remember an example is given, like somebody is donating money or paying for the cost of putting a clinic together, or maybe in a university, a building for sports, or maybe a gym, something like that together, or even a place for, a building for one of the classrooms, or a lab, anything, but a building. What happens? Usually the building carries the name of the person who contributed the money for it. The person who contributed the Lakshmi for that building. And in that situation, anybody that calls the building by its name calls the name of the person who donated to put it together. That is goodness, true enough for donating, but it's a material goodness because in one sense, the person wants a pat on their back. They could have said, no, don't put my name on there. And whatever that is, the building is for, could be just named like that and left so. So that's one of the differences between material goodness and pure goodness. Shuddha Sattva is pure goodness without any tinge of material, any material aspect to it. And then passion, well, that's very predominant in this earth now. People just work hard for sense gratification, to make money for sense gratification. And ignorance is when things are turned upside down. People who don't believe in God, doing the wrong things at the wrong times, and also cruel to themselves, like smoking and doing things that harm the physical body, but they do it anyway, and harming other people also, like that. Those people usually would get, if they stay on this earth for their next life, they will get an animal body or a lower body that does not have the kind of intelligence that humans have. So that's what happens to them. So, Shuddha Sattva, the condition of pure goodness. It says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed as he is without any covering. And that condition is called Vasudeva with a small v. That condition, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and my Guru Maharaj, we'll talk a little more about that. So in that pure state, Lord Shiva is saying, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Ahokshita, beyond the material senses, and is known as Vasudeva. Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva was the husband of Devaki. Krishna came to the world through them. So we know Vasudeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, which is short A, that is the father, the devotee that played the role of a father of Krishna. And now we have Vasudeva with a small v, is the condition of Shuddha Sattva. Now, it's already been indicated here that Lord Shiva was the one that was speaking, and this is also recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 23. Now, so the translation is the same. but the wording is slightly different in Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, same thing says, I am always engaged. So now Lord Shiva says, I'm always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. This is what we are aspiring to get to the stage of purity. Sometimes devotees may say, well, there is so much that I do that's material. There is so many places my mind roams to. Therefore, I've heard about purity and being a pure devotee, but that's not for me because I don't think I'll ever get there. We have to strive to get to purity because in that strife, just the attempt, so many things will be done for our spiritual life, and the Lord will encourage us to go on. It really amounts to thinking about the Lord all of the time. It amounts to praying for steadiness in chanting. It amounts to saying those things that are very important in one's life, the prayers that have been set up by the pure devotees of the Lord, repeating those. Now, if it's in Sanskrit, it behooves us to also find the meaning of it in English so that when we're praying, then we understand what we're talking about. Sometimes devotees chant like that, and those prayers in Sanskrit, without even knowing the meaning of it, it still has benefit. We shouldn't be gotten wrong in this. There's benefit. But for the mind, when you understand what you're saying in Sanskrit, you understand the English part of it, then you really can't tell what is being said. We don't know, many of us, I shouldn't say all of us, but many of us don't know Sanskrit. We never studied Sanskrit as a subject. And those who studied it when they're speaking Sanskrit, they know exactly what they're talking about. We have to know the meaning. And that's why even in this, Srila Prabhupada gave the mercy of translating every Sanskrit text in such a way that we would know, and then commenting on it to put us in the right state of mind. So now, Srila Prabhupada is indicating here, the living entity as a soul is constitutionally pure. The living entity normally is liberated, but the material contamination we have now is temporary. We go from one body to another, something that's been happening to so many souls that are in the material world, going from one body to another out of this 8,400,000 types of bodies that the soul can occupy. And they go based on their desires. Based on the desires. We go to different planets of the three types planetary system that's determined by Jamaraj. But our desires put us in different bodies. The other day was describing, I think it was just about yesterday, with this talking about how Srila Prabhupada actually gave a lecture, a recording of a lecture, and that recording, he described how a person who is in the higher planets, the heavenly planets, when the time is over, whatever, hundreds of thousands of years, depending on the planet, or millions of years, or sometimes even billions of years, like in Brahmaloka, the inhabitants, those, they live that long. But then they have to come to medium type planet, like the earthly planet, and how the process of coming is actually done. It's very scientific. And it may be surprising to some people that we go through rain and the soil, and then there's grass, and the soul goes through the grass, and the cow eats the grass. And now the soul is inside the cow and the digestion. Remember, the soul cannot be destroyed. So wherever it goes, it still remains intact. And then the digestion changes to milk, and then, so the soul is now in the milk, is done by the person in arrangement by Yamaraj as to who that is going to give birth. So it goes into the male system, gets digested, it goes to the male's blood, and the soul is going through all of this. The blood is turned to semen, and then when finally it's injected into the female, the soul goes there and new life. In coming to the state of Shuddha Sattva, all of that is going to be stopped. The soul is actually, the living entity, is liberated. So the material contamination is temporary. The actual position is liberated. And so to re-achieve the liberation, we have to go through Krishna consciousness. And that liberation begins from the point of surrender. And that's why Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion, I'll just say my own limited knowledge. These religions take those who believe them to the heavenly planets. But we just talked about heavenly planets being there for a period of time, high sense gratification compared to what's on the earth, but you will come down to the earth anyway. You won't stay there forever. It feels like staying there forever because the period of time one stays in the heavenly planet is very long compared to the 100 years that we live here. At the very least, hundreds of thousands of years. So the soul actually, it says in the Vedic literature that it is always pure and uncontaminated by material attachments. When we come to the material world, then we begin to identify the body with the soul, and we say the body is us, when in fact it is the soul that's us. So this misunderstanding then develops, because it's a question of now taking care of the body. Everybody, devotee or non-devotee, has to take care of the body because the body is now where the soul is engaged in. But the understanding should be there, we're still souls, not these bodies. And Krishna consciousness helps us to get to our pure state again, which is the liberated state. Liberated means we were in jail and now we're going to be getting out of the jail. But getting out of the jail begins with liberation from the mind. So even when we are in this jail, the material world, and our mind is that which is in the right place, very, very, very focused on Krishna consciousness and doing the things that makes a person grow in Krishna consciousness, then mentally, even while we're in this physical body, we are already liberated. In other words, we are proceeding towards the gate out of the material world. We are proceeding, whereas everybody else is just trying to go here and there and everywhere inside the material world, thinking that when they do whatever they want to do materially, they will be happy, and that's the aim, but it never makes anybody happy, not the material world. Rich people who are honest have been asked this question. So you make a lot of money. One radio talk show host that was making, he had a contract worth almost $280 million for a period of time, a number of years. Signed the contract, and he talked about it. I mean, it was put out. So somebody asked him in a radio talk show, are you happy with all that money that you have? He says, money can buy me whatever I would like it to buy, but it cannot buy me happiness. So he was quite honest with this. He said, it cannot buy me happiness. So there are people who don't have much money at all, and they're very happy. Why? Because they're concerned with living life the proper way, giving food to the soul. As soon as we do Krishna consciousness, very, very determined to feed the soul Krishna consciousness by the lifestyle and the activities, devotional service, that is, we'll be happy. It's only a matter of time that we will feel happy inside. Happiness does not come from connecting with material things. Happiness comes from involving ourselves in Krishna consciousness. The things that we have to do, the hearing, the chanting, the serving. And the attitude towards serving means, the attitude towards serving being whatever you see that is necessary to be done and it's not done, that you jump on it and get it done without even being told to do. You have your particular duty assigned to you. I have my particular duty assigned to me. I must do it as a matter of putting my heart into it, or as a matter of emergency. Either way. In other words, we shouldn't play at all with our devotional service. Sometimes the mind says, oh, but this, but you've been doing this today, you're tired. The mind will give you all kinds of excuses. But that is Maya testing us to see whether we can or we want to be consistent and be determined. Just like it says in Nectar instruction, be determined in serving. So as soon as one is fully Krishna conscious, it is to be understood that he is in this pure original constitutional position. That's why the Nietzsche said as though those who come from the spiritual world, although they come to the material world for a purpose, they remain liberated. They are in their pure original constitutional position. They may have a physical body, but they don't think like non-devotees or even those who are practicing to come to that liberated stage, which is devotee them, practicing. They are always liberated. When they talk about things in the material world, they're related to Krishna. They're related to Krishna. Yesterday, I was listening to a lecture. Actually, it wasn't even a lecture. It was a morning walk by Srila Prabhupada. The devotees are talking about so many things in the material world. And they were deliberately bringing it up to Srila Prabhupada to hear Srila Prabhupada's response to it. And some of it, they were quoting from the Bible. God gave dominion over, gave man dominion over the creation. So they brought it up to Srila Prabhupada. Some of you, myself included, may be aware of these kinds of statements from these the books that are spiritual books, holy books, Christian, Muslim, and so on. So the devotees were bringing it up. God gave dominion. God gave dominion, Srila Prabhupada said. So God gave dominion means what? That it means you kill the cow? When the Lord has says, you take care of this particular living entity. Just put in your care. So you are a little more advanced in intelligence. That is a human being. The rest of the living entities are not at that level. So what do? Kill them? No, you have to protect them. So he explained that way.
I remember you. Yes.
How's your morning going?
It's going good. So I wanted to.
So it is important. Sorry that a little bit of interruption. Anyway, so being given the position of dominion over others means you have to. Other living entities means we have to protect them, not abuse them. Srila Prabhupada explained so many points. I'll say one more, and that one devotee said, well, the Lord is, as much as we've been told, the Lord is up in heaven. What does he want with things that are happening here? What does he want with things like gold and things that are happening here? So Papa says, so whatever you understand about God, so he's up somewhere, therefore you take things and you abuse them and then you steal them. So you're a thief. You're a thief. Nobody's acknowledging, the point he was making is that nobody's acknowledging that the things that are on this earth, this planet we're in, belongs to Krishna. And he didn't give it to human beings only. Prabhupada says, it was a very important point, says, the earth is being given to all living entities. Every living entity on the earth has a right to be here, not only human beings. The human beings, according to the Bible, says they have dominion over and well, they are leaders. The leader doesn't start killing everybody on them or as they like. So these are all things that we need to understand in order to come to the Sudha Sattva platform. So the original constitutional position is achieved. And if we want that, we have to be fully Krishna conscious. That existence is called Shuddha Sattva. Now, Shuddha Sattva is under the direct action of the internal potency of the Lord. Now, Sri Prabhupada gives an example. When one comes to that form, that position of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, then they act just like the qualities of the soul. For example, iron is iron, and fire is fire. We know fire burns. Iron is a metal. But when you put the iron rod into the fire, until the iron gets red hot, you can still identify it as iron, but it will have the qualities of fire. You can light a match and start a fire by taking it to the paper, and the paper starts burning. Now, when the iron is red hot, you can touch paper, the same quality paper, with the iron, and it'll also stop burning. It's still iron, but because it has taken on the properties of fire, now it's acting like fire. So we are in a contaminated state, like the iron. And when we get red hot that we can burn acting like fire, then we are in the Shuddha Sattva. That is the analogy that we want to put out here. Acting in the pure state. It is not for everybody. As a matter of fact, sometime back, I asked Chandamali Swami, it was Chandamali Swami on lecture. I asked about purity. And he says, yes, devotees should strive for purity. It is not like some people have been designated as pure and the rest can't come to that purity level. Yes, there are Nityasiddhas, like Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. They came from the spiritual world, they were already pure and they never got contaminated. That's one. But it is possible for a person who is in an impure state, but come to Krishna consciousness and taking the process seriously to also grow onto the pure state. And Chanamaya Swami explained that Krishna does not prevent anybody from becoming pure. And the purer one person becomes, the happier the person becomes. So to try to get to Shuddha Sattva level is very important for us, and we should strive for it. Now, how to do that, to come to that level, it's explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, text 26. It's quite a popular text. Prabhupada quotes it quite a bit. Mam Chayoga Vicharina, Bhakti Yoga Sevati. Sagunaya Samati Ketan, Brahma Bhuyaya Kapati. And usually when he quotes that, Prabhupada, he states the last line over again. Brahma Bhuyaya Kapati. Brahma Bhuyaya comes to that level of Brahman. Shuddha Sattva. The full translation is that when one is engaged in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, then that person transcends the modes of material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. So implied in this is one, you got to engage in devotional service. And it is devotional service that helps us to transcend the modes of material nature, to come to the Shuddha Sattva level. The condition also for performing devotional service is also in the Bhagavatam, apratiyata, ahoitiki apratiyata. Now, here I said it's unfailing in all circumstances. We must be determined to do devotional service. We must not fail to do devotional service. When challenges come, and they will come, that is Maya's job, to test us to see whether we will still do devotional service in spite of so and so and so on, and to come back to our situation. We live in a place where sometimes there's snow, sometimes the weather goes bad, the deities are where they are, and we have to serve them. You find ways to get there. In all the services, we have to find ways when challenges come to get around the challenges or solve the challenges one way or the other so that we can do our service. And in that type of mentality, then goodness, passion, and ignorance, material type, would be gone. Our false ego will be under better control, and we will come to the level of Shuddha or level of Brahma. So Shuddha is a transcendental position. And that's what's technically called Vasudeva with a small v. And Vasudeva is also the name from which Krishna appears. Krishna's father is called Vasudeva. Now, the process for Shuddha pure goodness, is also called Vasudeva with a small v. So, to be involved in unadulterated devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, we have to follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without any desire to gain profit, material profit, by fruitive activities or mental speculation. To execute, sometimes the word unalloyed is used, or unadulterated devotional service, pure devotional service. First, we have to follow the rules and regulations. We have to know what to do and what not to do. And that is explained clearly in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. If we have doubt, we go to the spiritual master or senior devotee and ask for clarity. We also should, in fact, it is said in Nectar of Instruction, reveal our minds in confidence to those that we trust. It is very, very important, because if there are some things that are blocking us, and practically everybody that comes to devotion service, this happens to them, there'll be some things that are difficult to overcome. It varies from individual to individual. There's situations, sometimes it's a marriage situation, and the spouse is not interested in Krishna consciousness, but it's not stopping the other spouse from being involved in it. That point is good, but it becomes difficult because then the person that is a devotee says, I wish my husband or my wife would take to Krishna consciousness. Well, that may be there. One of the things that can happen is if we ourselves grow in purity, that's why pure devotion service is important. If we grow in purity, the purer we become, the more we can affect others in turning them into devotees. So while we're looking at our spouse being maybe one day is going to become a devotee, or maybe hoping, we should really work on being pure devotees ourselves, trying to get to that point of purity, Shuddha. It does give an impression to the other person. Now, sometimes that doesn't work because we have collected, or we have had past lives where we've been involved in devotional service, or we've been taking God consciousness very seriously, and now in this life that we've come to, we've been given the opportunity to open up to bhakti. The spouse may not have gone through that. Different, we're talking about the previous lives now. And so they're not open to understanding that. That is all right, as long as you can do your devotion service. As long as you can be a devotee, you can hear, you can chant, and the spouse is not stopping you, that is okay. But now we also know that if we increase in purity, we can, in fact, affect our spouses in the long run. And when that doesn't happen, don't worry about it, because it is Krishna's business and the person's own free will that may turn the person into a devotee. Now, the one thing that we can do in order to ensure that at some point our spouse becomes a devotee is make sure you give them Krishna Prasadam. It's that simple. When they take Krishna Prasadam, then you leave that whole point of becoming a devotee to Krishna. And that's not just for spouses only. Anyone that we give Prashadam to will become a devotee at some point, but the time is not dependent on our program. No, it depends on what Krishna and that person himself or herself does. But we've done our part. So, in pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty. Very, very, very important. And I've seen devotees who took devotional service as a matter of duty. They actually, some Prabhupada disciples, they left the bodies. And what we hear about it, sometimes we get information, as we say, insider type information, that they're back in the spiritual world, or there's some indication that has come to devotees in communities that usually that gets revealed like that. But the important thing here is one should serve. We should serve the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead means Krishna is the deity, the spiritual master, and also the devotees, especially the devotees. We should serve as a matter of duty without reason and without being impeded or stopped by material conditions. Brahmacharya Vyabhicharena Bhakti Yoga Sevate Saguna Samati Tetan and Brahmabhuya Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. Unfailing in all circumstances. That's the important thing. Unfailing in all circumstances. Look at it like I'm being tested. Am I going to pass my test? When difficulties come, this is my challenge. Am I going to pass my test? Or am I going to say, oh, somebody else will do? Oh, let's see what the weather is like. I can't do the service. No. We should be even more determined then. That shows Krishna that we're serious. We should serve as a matter of duty. Actually, we are privileged to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and serve His devotees. It is a privilege. It allows us to get out of this cosmic jail. And so if we take it seriously, then the privileged few will walk out of this cosmic jail in the material world and not get attached to anything here. The phantasmagoria that seems to tell us, oh, we're going to be all right. So one more thing about especially those who live in this country. This country has so much material things. You've studied science, so many products are there, and the trend is always on there. Even the products that are produced now, in the future, there'll be more advanced products. So one can get easily taken up or swept up by the fascination of science, and we have everything. And if I get a good job and I can buy these things, as that rich guy was saying, his name was actually Rush Limbaugh, was saying that, buy these things, therefore I'll be happy. But actually, Rush explained, not only the millions will make us happy. If we're able to manage with enough finances, and that's important for the devotee, to have enough finances to be able to deal with the material part of it. Now, the intelligence that needs to kick in along with that is the material world is troublesome. We are in Kali Yuga. It's going to get worse. Therefore, while it's not so bad for me, that's the time to step out. That is actually the time to step out. We don't wait until it gets to a point where another lifetime things have become so bad. And it is going to be like that. It does not matter if we become wealthy in the next life or the life after that. If we're coming down one after, in this Kali Yuga, if we're coming back to a worse situation. We're coming back to a worse situation. So there will be people who will be wealthy in their next life, but life outside is not going to be easy because there will be more criminals then. And there will be more trouble internationally then. So there's no point, even if you're quite wealthy, to stay here. It is going to get worse and it's going to affect us. And what also happens is that the more that people act horribly, the more the weather becomes terrible, because that's controlled by the demigods. So don't expect the next life is going to be wonderful, even though our own karma may put us in a situation where we can manage. But life outside is not going to be the same. Hmm? Because Kali Yuga will go on. So Kali Yuga will get worse. So why come back into a situation saying, oh, maybe I'll be able to live properly? Nope, we're deceiving ourselves. We have to work hard to get to the Shuddha platform as close as we can to it. Hmm? So Krishna, as is explained here, Vasudev means the all-pervading or localized Supreme Personality of God. And this is Vasudev now, Krishna. Hmm? So let's see our situation, what we're in. And that is explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 19. Vasudev Sarvam Iti, Samahatma Sudulabha. The full text is Bahunam Janmana Ante, Gyanavan Mam Papadyante, Vasudev Sarvam Iti, Samahatma Sudulabha. The translation: after many births and deaths, and we've been talking about that, after many births and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Krishna is speaking, surrenders unto me, knowing me to be Sarva Karana Karanam, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is material and spiritual. Such a great soul is very rare. So Shilpapa translated this, but Krishna is implying that after many births and deaths, so we've been in all kinds of, but millions of times in millions of situations. One time, a person that could read palms read my palm, and I didn't know what to think of it. But he was talking about my life 12,000 years ago and connecting it to the planets at that, the different places, land masses at that time. We won't get into great detail about it. But he talked about, Dr. was a she. She talked about my situation in science. And again, this lifetime came back to science again. So maybe there's some truth to it. But the point is, we've all been through many births and deaths, many bodies that we've been here. Our souls have gone in. So we're traversing this material world. But the person that comes to the real knowledge that nothing is going to make us happy unless we surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and serve Him, and understand that everything that happens, Krishna is the underlying personality and factor for all the causes. Now, such a great soul is very rare. Krishna says the person who understands him to be the cause of all causes is actually a Mahatma, the great soul. So devotees who understand Krishna and serve him with all their hearts, they are actually Mahatmas. But there's no point in trying to advertise that. It's not important. But Krishna looks at them that way. Srimati Radharani is very, very happy with them. So we should also be in a group of people who are submitted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through Bhakti Yoga and want to also serve and serve and serve. So the Vasudev, the Vasudev with a small v, when we come into the pure goodness of the Vasudev state, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in fact revealed to us. So he does as he wants to at any time. Krishna is free to do that, whether we like it or not. That is where he is the supreme. Therefore, everything is done according to his will. So the conclusion is to come to the Vasudev platform, Shuddha, we must serve incessantly, and we shouldn't expect payback. We should also get away from material enjoyment or focusing so much on materialism. That means, just like Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami has said, accept everything favorable to devotional service and reject anything that's unfavorable. Most important for us, this is to safeguard our bhakti kripa. We must stop offending devotees. We must cease to, offend. That state, if we understand this, it would get us to the point of understanding Krishna deeply, because that's when realizations and revelations about Krishna will come directly to us. Things become clearer to us. And the clearer they become to us, the happier we become. Then we will also be able to affect the minds of others to take Krishna consciousness seriously. So the Vasudeva platform is what's called Shuddha Sattva, and it is steeped in the Sandini. Didn't have time to say much of it. There's Sandini, Samvit, and Ladini. Ladini is the energy for bliss, enjoying. And Samvit is the energy of the Lord for knowledge. And eternality is Sandini. And so the Shuddha platform is connected with the Sandini. Shuddha platform, another way to look at it is eternal. We go on forever. We serve, and when we get to the spiritual world, we continue to serve, just in better conditions, much, much, much better conditions. But we serve also, and we serve eternally. And everything eternal is in the Sandini energy of the Lord, because Sandini energy is, in fact, the energy for eternality. So take Krishna consciousness seriously. Don't try to stay in this material world. It's going to get worse. But I also don't think that purity is for some people, but not me. When we try to improve, following the instructions of Guru and Krishna, and taking Krishna consciousness seriously, even if challenges come, we will in fact get slowly close to, if not even at, but very close to the Vasudeva platform. And that through the mercy of Guru then, seeing that we really strive like anything to serve Guru, devotees, and Krishna in the daily form, they would allow us back home. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. And now, anyone that wants to make some comments can unmute and either talk about takeaways or ask questions or share some realizations as you like. Hare Krishna. Does anyone want to chime in? You have to hit the unmute button and then you can talk.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to Gospel Prabhupada.
Jai, glory to Prabhupada.
My takeaway from this class, thank you so much, is to remind us not to be too comfortable. I think that is the challenge that we always face on a daily basis. When something is going so smoothly, then we think, oh, it's going great. And then, and then we get very comfortable in the material world that we're thinking that it's going to be just beautiful. We're going to have any problems. And then once we get a little, snag, a little, whatever, then we cry, we run to the Lord. And then when it gets fixed, and again, we get comfortable, and I'm reminded about this verse, padam papadam yad vipadam. Every step, there's danger. There's just no telling. And I think we have so many examples, not examples, real life situations around us that is telling us, that this world is not a comfortable place. But sometimes, or many times, when it doesn't happen to us, then we think, oh, it's not that bad. Or if something small happens, oh, I can manage it. But it's still, comfort means no issues, right? But
that's real comfort.
yeah, comfort means no issues. But even if we have a little issue, that means it's not comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's a reminder that, we have to remind ourselves that, it's not a comfortable world, Like now we're dealing with, with the rainy season. Comes the allergies. Is that comfortable? The colds, is that comfortable? We do go through it daily. We just take it for granted and we think, it's okay, but it's actually not comfortable. And
We're
I
just
think
tolerating.
yeah, we are tolerating, exactly. But tolerating is not perfect. Comfort when there's no issues, that's the real world. So thank you. That was my takeaway. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for chiming in on this and explaining. Sometimes you used to think, all right, so we look in the news and some hurricane has hit someplace and the trees have fallen and people's property has been damaged. And sometimes you would see somebody really, really breaking down and crying for what has happened to them. And they go on. But then we say, oh, well, it wasn't us, actually. It didn't happen to us. The planet is like that. The planet is like that. Something else will happen to us if hurricane does not give us problems. Something else happens. Something is happening to everybody. It may be light, it may be heavy, but it does. And the thing to remember is, as these 427,000 years that's left in Kali Yuga rages on, and I deliberately use the word rage, it goes on, things are going to get worse. So we are fortunate enough to be warned now that we take the process seriously. Chant every day. Chant with desperation. Here's the process. Everybody has, in fact, done the first 2 of the 8 processes that it takes to Krishna Prema. Everybody has done that. The first 2 are, first, faith in Krishna. That's everybody. Next, association of devotees. That's everybody. We're doing that now, even though it's being done electronically, but we're associating together. So faith and association is there. And then the third level is to get initiated by the spiritual master. And this is how we get back to the spiritual world. You get your reservation by being initiated by the spiritual master. And that's where the breakup is. Some people are and some people are not. Those who are, they have to take the instructions of a spiritual master very seriously. Live such that you have the understanding the spiritual master literally owns my life. That's a topic for another discussion another time, because we like to do things independently. But owns my life meaning that whatever he tells me to do, I should do. So that is very important. Those who are initiated, then now we have to remove the unwanted desires, those things that sabotage Krishna consciousness. Sabotage. And then from there, you become steady, and then you're headed towards Krishna Prema. So all of us have done 2, faith and association of devotees. Now we have to move on. Krishna wants us home. So we really should, he wants us back home, out of this mess that we think is wonderful, and somehow we can make it work better for us. Leave that. It's only non-devotees that think that way. They can never fix a jail. Hare Krishna. Anyone else that wants to talk? Unmute yourself, please, and ask a question, share realization, or a takeaway, if you feel like it. All right, I'm not hearing anything, and I'm not seeing anybody unmute themselves, so I'd like to thank you very much for coming for the class and allowing me to do this service. Any offense to anybody, I apologize. And a little bit of overzealous, I know I can, because, when you get old and the bodies are falling apart, you certainly want to get out of the situation. And we know the situations go back to spiritual world. That's why we just hop on everybody. We try to serve well so you can go back. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhve evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari 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 Go. So have a nice rest of your week onto the weekend. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna. Go to Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Go to
Hare
Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Go to Srila Prabhupada.